Welcome to a busted play, an illegal use of hands to the face short.
Sources close to the illegal use of hands to the face football podcast have recently informed us, otherwise known as NFL.com, that N'Keal Harry is officially kind of on the trade block and or requesting a trade from the New England Patriots. Only a few years ago, he was a first-round pick for them, Jake. So what are your thoughts on this, and maybe where do you think he's going to end up going?
Well, I mean, if I were him, I'd definitely want out of there too. Just he's been so underutilized since he's been there. Even when Brady was there, they just never really targeted him a lot. I mean, for his career, he has let me just make sure this is right. Yeah, only 45 receptions his entire career. And for a first round pick, I know it was 32nd overall pick, but still, you're expecting way more production out of that, and you can't expect a lot of production if you're getting 45 receptions. And I think he's only 86 targets in his whole career, which that's kind of pitiful for a first round wide receiver.
Yeah. He's 2 years in, correct? Me, because he was a 2019 first-round pick.
Let me check. Yep, 2019 first round pick.
Yeah, that's pretty bad. We've got to just state the obvious here, in that he has not been like what they were hoping he would be at all. I gotta say though, when they picked him there, I wasn't like too worried because I didn't think he was that crazy at the time. It's just kind of like, okay, this is kind of about where I felt he would go. But I really didn't feel that scared. And even if he ends up on a new team now, I don't know how scared I'll be.
Yeah. I mean, I remember going into the draft, he was like touted as one of the better-ish wide receivers in that draft because of his big body. And I mean, he was first team his conference. He played for Arizona State, so that conference 2 years. Uh, just a guy that could go up and get it. And it seems like the Patriots have not used him that way. Well, it seems like I know because I've watched Patriots games and they don't use him that way. They utilize him in like jet sweeps or screen situations and not what he was doing in college, which was throw it up and let him come down and get it, which I understand why. That's really not Belichick's thing of like, oh, let's just depend on this wide receiver to make a play. I mean, unless you're Randy Moss, that's really not something that he wants his situation to be conducive of.
Yeah.
He wants the quarterback to make the plays, and wide receivers get open short over the middle and not deep threat go up and get a guy.
Yeah, I've definitely questioned the situations that they've put him in. I don't think that they've been using his skill set to the best of his abilities. Just I don't think that they're giving him the best opportunity to actually go out and do what he can do best. But that also doesn't. The other problem with that is that's when he gets on the field. They also haven't really put him on the field a ton.
Yeah.
86 targets sounds like a decent amount, but I feel like a lot of the time he just wasn't even getting on the field. And I mean, if you're not even going to be able to step on the field, I would be annoyed too, and I would want to leave the team that I'm on if I couldn't even get on the field, if I was a first-round pick especially, because, I mean, I need the opportunity on the field to actually be able to go make the play, right?
Yeah. And I think the Patriots have also noticed that they haven't used him to the best of their abilities because, I mean, before he came out and said, or his agent came out and said that he's requesting a trade, uh, he was like a cut candidate for them in camp, which I was like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. He hasn't produced a lot. So I think this is more of the you're not firing me, I quit situation of like, I'm not going to let you cut me because I want out of here. So.
So I think you kind of mentioned this to me the other day, right when you heard the news. But what do you think he's worth, like, to another team? What do you think's the most somebody would give up for him?
I don't think anything more than a 6th round pick. I really don't.
I
I
I think I agree with you. I mean, I don't know what would make you want to give up more. What about this? Is there anywhere that you think is a good candidate for him to end up for a new home?
Two teams both in the AFC South.
Okay.
Houston, just because he's gonna get plenty of opportunities there. I mean, the only guy in that wide receiver room is Brandon Cooks, so he's going to be the number 2 guy there probably. a lot of opportunities to make plays, and the Patriots have had a big link with Houston this offseason, just making trades all over the place with them for like bottom tier roster guys like Ryan Izzo for late round picks. They've just been swapping those, so I don't know why that trend can't continue. And then the Colts really do love their big body receivers that can't do much. So I think they might go out and spend a late round pick. Maybe the Packers too. Maybe that's their one way to show Rodgers that they really care. Their one last effort of sending a 6th round pick to New England to get a receiver that hasn't done much in his first 2 years in the league.
Hey, Aaron, you got your first round receiver. I didn't consider the Packers for very long. When I was thinking about this, I will say I at least gave some thought to the Texans and the Colts. But really, the two rosters that I came up with, the one that immediately popped into my head that I felt like definitely has a chance for him to go to is the Philadelphia Eagles. I mean, just looking at the roster, there's a lot of names here, but there's not much production. Devontae Smith is really the guy that I'm most excited for in this receiving core. And with that being said, he's a rookie, so I mean, there's a lot of opportunity there to go to Philadelphia, and I don't see why Philadelphia would be unwilling to add a guy of say this caliber, at least that we've seen in the past, like play at a high level in college and potentially be able to grow into a good player in the NFL. I feel like they're a team that could take an opportunity on that and really actually give him playing time, because there's not many guys that would need to play in front of him. Maybe only like two guys that you really say need playing time in this receiver room, in Jalen Reagor and Devontae Smith. Those guys you feel like you have to give playing time to. Everybody else, you can kind of take your chances. And then the other team that I came up with that I thought he has kind of an interesting shot to go to and maybe have an opportunity to compete is the Las Vegas Raiders. They got a lot of guys that don't really that either fit like a speed mold or are just like not as big as him. The tallest receiver on the team is Bryan Edwards, and I'm not sure how Raiders fans think of him. I maybe they're higher on him than I am, but just not very many options in terms of tall, lengthy guys on this team, and especially not ones like the only guys above 6 foot are Caleb Scott, Zay Jones, Bryan Edwards, and Keelan Doss. I don't think any of those names are standing out too much. And the other number one guys that you're probably looking at to go get the most receptions are like Willie Snead and Henry Ruggs, who are fast guys, and then Hunter Renfrow working out of the slot. It's a lot of shorter guys and fast guys. And I think that they could maybe use a big-bodied guy like N'Keal Harry to kind of give them one type of receiver that they really don't have at anyone at that spot that's playing at a decent level. And then at least you have the opportunity with N'Keal Harry where you wouldn't otherwise, unless Bryan Edwards goes off this season, because I don't think Zay Jones or Keelan Doss are about to, but maybe Bryan Edwards could pop out.
Yeah, this offseason, everyone's been saying the Patriots have murdered it with free agency, and we both agreed that Belichick had a good draft for what seems like the first time in forever. If he can find a way to get more than a 6th round pick for N'Keal Harry, I I have to give him an A plus plus on it, because I just cannot. Maybe the Texans, if it's a really bad run organization, like you know, I don't want to hate the Raiders that much because I do like Mike Mayock, but I could see Bill Belichick just being like, "Well, look at your conversion chart, Mike. He's a first round wide receiver 2 years out from when he was, or 3 years out from when he was drafted." He's like, "Oh, yeah, that is worth a third round pick," and then sends it
Oh
over.
boy. Yeah. Mayock would probably be like, he was actually our number one ranked player in that draft, so yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
No. Yeah, but and that wasn't the only reason. I just think he can kind of fit a void for them too that they're
hmm
kind of missing. Philadelphia though, just got nobody. Just take a shot, man.
yes,
I feel like Philly
yes,
should give him a chance. I really like Philly the
yeah,
most, and L or Las Vegas was the other team that really just I thought had a chance here, but no one really else. Those AFC South teams, maybe. I just don't know how many guys are going to want to take a shot on this guy, especially with kind of how lackluster it's been.
I mean, that just goes with the asking price. I mean, if Belichick is seriously like, well, okay, it just really wants to stick it to him, like, oh, you didn't want me to cut you? You want to be traded? Okay, and then just gets a seventh round pick for him, just being like, you're worthless. Because I don't think Belichick's that petty, but I think he would just try to send that message to the guys still on the roster at that point. Like, if you want to leave, you can leave. I don't need you at this point. Like, I'm going to do nothing with the seventh round pick.
Yeah, I agree. I get it. Um, well, I think that's all I got for him. Are you all set?
Yeah, I think we could cut this here.